It is possible to paint inside of a computer lab, and also it is possible to work out in a meditation center. But as you can probably imagine, some activities are better suited for different kinds of spaces. So, to start the training arc, I think the most important thing is to set up space where you can develop yourself. So, the training arc is all about finding good examples of life lessons in anime or manga. And the two examples that I have for you today, in terms of the making the training room, is one from Dragon Ball and one from Hunter x Hunter. So in Dragon Ball, there is this idea of a time room. And inside of the time room, what you have is suspended time. Basically, time goes very slow. So in the outside of the time room, you have like 5 minutes, where inside of the time room, that same time gets expanded to 5 years. And the time room has also, you can toggle different types of gravity. So when you want to get stronger, you want to amplify the gravity, and then train a lot of the time, and then come out feeling like a great skill development, right? And the interior of the time room is also very clean. This is when it's not activated, but when you activate the time room, it becomes this completely white space where there's just a ton of void, right? And so it helps you just focus on the fighting and training. And when you watch Dragon Ball, they also spend a lot of time meditating inside of the time chamber. And basically, this environment is there to adapt to, give you new environments that you adapt to, and then you develop your strength to adapt to the new environment. And just like this, you can set up your environment so that it is conducive to your growth. Hunter x Hunter is one of my all-time favorites. All-time favorites. I think it's just one of the greatest works ever to come out in, comic book history. But unfortunately, it's on hiatus again. But my favorite arc in general in these works is training arc, obviously, but my favorite training arc is this development right here. So Gon and Killua, they have great potential and they have a lot of skill already, but Biscuit, the lady in the golden hair, she excels at training people, and so she sees the potential for these two kids, and decides to spend her time to really expand the skill levels of these two people. But the way they do it in this barren desert, right? And inside of this barren desert, there's a lot of natural hazards and there's a lot of obstacles. And so she creates a program so that they use the environment to grow. For example, she punches the ground and makes a giant, cave hole arena kind of type of a thing, and she finds one of the serial killers roaming around in the neighborhood, beats the shit out of them, and then puts one of them in the cage, and then puts Gon in the cage and says, "You just need to survive this guy, and for 3 days or something like that, right?" And then that becomes the training ground. So, just like this, creating the right type for your growth, creating the right type of environment for your growth is very, very important. And now let's examine how to do that in a practical sense. I have two primary points when it comes to creating your own training environment. Number one is we need to be intentional about what kind of a space do we need, right? Because when we think about room organization, when we think about creating the right type of environment for ourselves, we just generally think clean areas. And I do agree, hygiene is very important. But the thing is, um, if you are creating a meditation room for yourself, but you're never gonna meditate, like, or meditation is not something that you're looking to start in the next immediate while, then it's kind of purposeless, right? So, for example, I don't lift weights, so I don't have a home gym, right? But many people would have a home gym because they do a lot of lifting at home. So, just like this, the type of environment that you create has to be intentional to what kind of skill you want to foster in your life. So, um, in general, what we are looking for is a clean space where you can kind of organize your thoughts, you can collect yourself, and you can be there with yourself. But other than that, we need to think of one of your primary goals. As you're in this training arc, what are your goals? And what kind of an environment do you need in order for you to have an easier time with it? Of course, anybody can do anything in any environment. I could live in a dumpster and still meditate, right? I could live in a pit of lemons and I can still meditate, which is kind of the great thing about meditation that you can do it anywhere. But again, would I prefer to do it in my own room with a nice meditation cushion? Yes. So that's why I keep a meditation cushion inside of my room, and because I'm a Buddhist in my home, there's also a burdan, which is like a shrine for the Buddha. So those things I set up intentionally for my intentional growth. The second thing is keeping your space clean. I think this is something that gets misunderstood a lot. I'm not asking you to be a minimalist. I'm not asking you to Marie Kondo everything, right? What's more important is we have to be accountable for the environment that we live in, right? So, what I mean by that is this. We live life in a very consuming kind of a way. And we don't really take accountability for the things that we consume and the byproducts of our consumption. So, when we eat something, we like to just throw it in the dishwasher or throw away the scrap food. Something I learned after visiting India and visiting other very poor rural areas in general is that overconsumption and leaving a lot of things to go to waste is one of the most offensive things, in my personal opinion, you can really do to a person who is in need of the same resources. So, on one part of the world, you have people who are literally starving because of the lack of nutrition. You have people and babies and mothers who literally can't keep their babies alive because of hypothermia, because it gets so cold and they don't have enough fabric. And then on other parts of the world, you have just a crazy excess of food and a crazy excess amount of clothing. And I think that's really, uh, aside from the good or bad, I think it is very myopic view of the world. You only take a look at not only you don't look at the people who in need, but also you only look at one side of the complete cycle. Life is about consuming, yes, but also at the same time, we need to be responsible for the things that we do, right? So that's why, what's the worst kind of a roommate? The roommates who don't clean up, right? So whenever we do something, we have natural byproducts of our life. But if we are not taking care of that, if we are not cleaning it up, then who will? Of course, there is the mindset of I'm going to make enough money so that other people can do it themselves. But I think even if you do that, right? So for example, I have a front yard and a backyard. I used to use my gardener for front yard and the backyard. But when I came back from my Buddhist training, I learned the importance of keeping your own environment because it made me have an actual touch of, oh wow, I really do go around in a lot of places and leave around a lot of trash when I really don't need to. And this, I couldn't really realize this in my natural day-to-day life because I don't always immediately clean up after. But at the Buddhist training site where I went to, we always had to clean up after ourselves immediately. That made me realize, why do I have so much cleaning up to do? Oh, right, it's because I went everywhere and I did all these things. So, since being cognizant of that, I thought, wait, but this is my house. And it was my choice to buy a house with the front yard and the backyard. So realistically, right, if I do the front yard too, then I'm not gonna do a good job at doing pest management and maintaining the grass or and the trimming the trees or whatever, right? That's like an entire skill. So I leave that for my gardeners because I have to also be realistic, right? But in the backyard, right? I think the backyard there's a lot of like the blow cleaning. I don't like the sound of that, and my dogs also bark when there's people outside. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's time I become responsible for my own living environment, and I start sweeping the back of my house, right? And so that gives me a great perspective on like how the seasons change. And as I clean up, I look at the leaves that fell down, right? And also, I get to realize, oh wow, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of space here that I purchased simply because I thought it would be good for me. But every day, it's every week when I clean up, it's just like a lot of space that I have to clean up, right? So we engage in a lot of things that we think are good for us, but the byproducts of that, we like to just give it to other people. And I think part of keeping a good training environment is coming to realize how much our actions leave a byproduct. As you clean up your room, as you start becoming responsible for yourselves. So, for example, another example is doing the dishes, right? Everybody does the dishes. But again, at our Buddhist training, at the end of every meal, we get a piece of radish. And with that radish, we clean up our plate so that our plate has virtually nothing. And then we eat the radish, and then we pour water, and then we wash the dish a little bit with the water, and then we drink the water, and then that's the end of it. Why this is so great is after that, you do 10 people's dishes, you use like 5 drops of dishwashing fluid. It's very environment friendly because why? Number one, the meals aren't even that greasy to start with because it's primarily vegetarian. Number two, everybody eats all the microscopic sauces and the powders with the radish and the water. And number three, we don't waste food because everybody eats until the last drop, right? So because of that, we get to realize how easy dishes can be when you just eat when you eat a small portion and you eat every drop of the food. But now I come home and I examine the food that I normally eat, right? And it's like, why is it so hard to do the dishes the way I learned? It's because number one, so much grease, right? Because we eat meat. Number two, we think we're done, but we leave a lot of food scraps behind, right? And so to this kind of cleaning up after yourself really gives you a perspective of how much you are doing without thinking. And what's the most important thing about, virtually everything I talk about in my YouTube channel? It's mindfulness, right? So I think a great start to the training arc program that I'm going to go over in this YouTube channel is setting up your environment. And to recap really quick, it's designing your environment with intention. And also, you clean up, as you leave only the things that you would need in this environment, you start, for free, as a side effect, you start developing a responsibility for yourself, and you start thinking about all the things that you do and the side effects that it causes. And the examples of today, if you're interested in reading some comic books, is Dragon Ball Z, with all the arcs that have to do with the time room, and Hunter x Hunter. The arc name is Greed Island, and in Greed Island, it's the whole part when they meet Biscuit Kruger. Okay, so that's the first episode of Training Arc, and I'll see you in the next episode.